When players think about the best DBD chapters in history, they often think of Halloween and Resident Evil for changing the game. However, for me, the most significant chapter in DBD's history is Stranger Things. For the first time in DBD's history, two survivors were introduced as part of a chapter release. Those two survivors being the extremely popular Steve and Nancy, who both have many mains and have been community favourites from the day that they came out. I think it's fair to say that Stranger Things has a host of rich characters in its universe that could have worked well in DBD, like Hopper or Joyce, but Steve and Nancy were the right choices. Steve in particular is a character who starts off as a bit of a jerk, but develops into a mature and selfless protector of the kids, which I think resonates well with the audience. This is also reflected in his perks being very altruistic, which is a nice touch from behaviour. I think Nancy was also a good choice as she is quite young herself, and most of the people that play DBD, I would say the age is between 17 to 30, so most people have watched the show, and as they're sort of a similar age, they relate to Nancy in a way as well. And Nancy also has perks that reflect her sort of character arc and development in the show, and both Steve and Nancy maintain a strong following now 5 years after the chapters released. Why this is the case is very simple, as the majority of DBD's player base are in the teens and 20s, and with Stranger Things being arguably the most popular TV show of the last decade, many of us have grew up with it, watched it, and loved it. For some DBD players, this may have been their first taste of horror as a genre, watching something that is scary, and even brought them to the game because of their love for Stranger Things. The chapter's killer was also a landmark first for the game, with it being the first time DBD introduced an animalistic type killer into the game. With characters in fiction who aren't human and don't communicate in a clear way, we often as an audience grow to like that character and feel sympathetic towards it, even if it's 9 feet tall, opens up its mouth and eats you because there's no intent behind it. It's as if it's just a creature, it doesn't know any better. And this is definitely the case with the Demogorgon in DBD, with Demo being one of the most loved characters, let alone killers, in the entire game. Demo is generally enjoyable to play as and against, and that's because he's, in my opinion, one of the best designed killers that we've had so far in the game. Apparently when designing the chapter, Netflix actually gave Behaviour a copy of the Demogorgon model from the show to help them out, and it clearly shows, as Demo looks exactly the same in game as he does in the show. He also has an interesting shred attack which launches him forward, which can be very satisfying when you pull it off as playing as him. I think that another reason for Demo's following and appeal is that he's arguably the most balanced killer in the game. He's not too strong, but he's also not the weakest, and there's fun counterplay against him, whilst being fun to actually play as the character himself. All in all, DBD stuck to the source material really well for Demo, and I think his realness and animations in the game make him a huge success. The map that was introduced was of course the Hawkins National Laboratory. Hawkins is one of those maps that some don't like due to it having a lot of unsafe pallets and being an indoor map, but for the most part people do like this map, and it's easy to see why. It's unique to any other map in the game due to its design and some of the structures that replicate the show to a T. For instance, the main lab room where the Upside Down gate was first created, and the fact that the map is covered in vines of the Upside Down, it makes you really feel like you are in the Stranger Things universe, and I don't think any other map really gives you the same feeling as Hawkins does. I think what also helped Hawkins and the Stranger Things chapter in general was the fact that we lost it, so people began to sort of appreciate it and understand it for what it actually was and what it brought for the game at the time. A chapter that was well designed, respected the source material, brought iconic and relatable survivors to the game, and a killer who is generally fun to play. It's easy to see why Stranger Things was such a success, and for me, the best chapter we've got so far in the 8.5 years of DBD. Thank you for watching.